This season has flown as we're now into the regular season finale as Boston College is ready to host Miami. Can they win number 8? We'll get into it on today's show.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black, editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 network. We have a 75% deal off over there. Go check that out. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. BC sits at 6-5, 2 deflating losses in a row, and they get to face the Miami Hurricanes. And to preview this game, I brought on Mitchell Wolfe of Eagle Insider. Mitch, how's it going?
Going well. Excited to finally wrap up this regular season. It's been a kind of a slog to get through these last few weeks as BC is kind of train has gone off the tracks, if you will. So we'll get into this game, which I don't think we have many positive things to say about.
All right, let's play fantasy. Let's play fantasy booker here and talk about what BC could do to win this. Now, we'll get into our predictions in a little bit, and as you can tell by the tone of both of our voices, it ain't gonna be pretty. But Mitch, how BC wins this game if
if Miami goes absolutely full quit mode and just does not feel like showing up? I'm not sure what the weather's gonna be like. I assume it's gonna be cold, but it's probably gonna have to be like 10 degrees. Maybe get a little bit of snow in there, and that's kind of the starting point for BC to have a
high
chance.
Of 44 is partly sunny.
Okay, that's simply too warm and sunny, so never mind. So in terms of what they can actually do, I think you have to really lean on what worked well in the Pitt game, and that's just running the ball right up the middle, because on both sides of the ball, Miami is going to have a significant speed and athleticism advantage over BC. And the way you negate that is make them play in a phone booth, run the ball up the middle, force them to, put bigger personnel on the field, and then similarly match with bigger personnel. Just keep running the ball up the middle with Kai Robichaux. The more you put the ball in the air, the more likely you are to have the clock stopped, to have a turnover. BC's receivers have not been playing well this year. Quarterbacks have not been playing well for the last few games. So BC's receivers are not going to be able to generate much separation against this secondary, even though they've been a little inconsistent. And, unlike Pitt, this defensive front is actually very solid for Miami. They've got a very good defensive line, good linebackers. So, BC's not really going to be able to trick this team. So I think you just keep pounding the ball up the middle. That shortens the game just by, limiting Miami's possessions on offense. So that's what you do on offense. On defense, pray, because I know Miami's offense has been, Tyler Van Dyke hasn't been playing particularly well as of late, but Miami's offensive line is very good. One of the best in the country. They're huge. So, BC's defensive line hasn't exactly been world killers as a unit. Cam Horsley and Dominic Nazarako have had good seasons, but the unit as a whole has not been playing well. And they've got incredible speed and athleticism on the outside, which even if you had Elijah Jones in this game, I would say Miami has a significant advantage. So, and BC's a little banged up in the safety room. So, that's going to be really problematic. I think for that side of the ball, this is another game where you want Miami to be running the ball. You don't want them throwing the ball deep and outside. So play a lot of zone, play more too high shells, try to keep the lid on the offense and not let them have a ton of explosive passing plays. And you kind of live with them being able to run the ball decently well, because that, again, kind of plays into what you want to do on offense is, let the game go by quickly by letting the clock keep running, and just limit the number of possessions that are in the game.
So what does Miami have to do to win this one?
Not quit and show up. I think that, I know Tyler Van Dyke hasn't been playing well, but, unlike a lot of quarterbacks coming from Miami, he's actually from the Northeast, from Connecticut, so he has a little bit of experience playing in the cold, so he's not going to be completely new to that. Miami's offense is very RPO and screen heavy, so they get the ball out of the quarterback's hands very quickly. Van Dyke actually plays pretty well when blitz. His PFF grade is a lot higher. So I'm kind of hoping that BC doesn't try to blitz him a lot. I hope they just kind of sit back and play coverage, because if they blitz a lot and it doesn't get home, then there's going to be big explosive plays for Miami. If they don't blitz, that forces Van Dyke to sit in the pocket. And he's the kind of quarterback where the longer he sits in the pocket, the more likely he is to make a mistake, because he kind of just has some issues reading the field the longer he has to think about it. So that's what I'd say on that side of the ball. On the other side, if Thomas Castellanos plays like he has the last few weeks and, gives the other team some free opportunities and takes points off the board for BC, then they should be able to win this one pretty easily. Even though I think if this game were to come down to like a close end of game situation, I think that's where Jeff Hafley actually has the advantage over Mario Cristobal, because Cristobal has repeatedly shown an inability to coach well in tight end of game situations. But I just don't see a world where they get to that kind of scenario where BC is actually competitive late in the game, just because the talent on both sides of the ball is just hugely in Miami's favor.
Yeah, and I go back to where the offense is. The offense is just falling off a cliff, and it was serviceable for weeks. You had, Castellanos moving the ball, and do you agree with me that there seems to be something physically wrong with him right now?
It wouldn't shock me. I think we've seen his ability to, he can still scramble and run away from defenders, so that's part of it. But I think that it could be maybe affecting his throwing. It's leading to more inaccuracies. But even so, like, there's still some plays out there where I think the receivers are letting him down and they're just not getting enough separation. I think that's where you really miss a guy like Ryan O'Keefe, who can be a guy that gets open with speed. But again, I think everything's just kind of broken with the passing offense at this point. The running game, I think, still works quite well. And, with that in mind, I think they just really need to keep leaning on that if they want to be competitive in these last 2 games of the season, including the bowl game.
All right. In a moment, Mitch and I are going to give our predictions for this game. You're not going to want to miss what we say. I'm sure you won't. Now, Prize Picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season, and now I can play during basketball season too. You can just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and boom, place your entry. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from both sports or leagues. For example, you could take Jason Tatum and you could take Tyreek Hill at a 10.5 combo with 3 points made in receptions. Want to play along famous players like famous people, like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can find them under the community plays as well. I love it. It's easy withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports action. And they have weekly promos like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, they pick player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go over to Prize Picks right now and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege on prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black, and I'm joined by Mitch Wolfe, and we're talking about the upcoming game. But before we get into our predictions, I want to give you a little early Black Friday gift. And Mitch and I are both over on Eagle Insider. Mitch, tell people about what you write over there.
So after every game, I do a rewatch of the game and try to find some nuggets about the game that kind of explain how and why the game developed the way it did. Then during the week of the games, and it'll be a little different as we approach the bowl game, but I have a matchup report which kind of previews each team on each side of the ball and where their weaknesses, where their strengths are. And then those are for the premium subscribers. And then I think we'll maybe have a few things coming in in the month of December when you have some time to reflect upon the whole season, look at some season long statistics, review the film, and see if I can pick out some trends from the entire season. So, it's definitely a good time to get in on this as we know recruiting ramps up. We get more transfer portal information as that window opens up. So it's definitely a good time to get in on the action here.
So 75% off right now on Eagle Insider for up until November 28th. Sign up today. That's $2.20 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee a month, and you support our work, and we give you killer analysis, news, and scoops. We have, as Mitch said, transfer portal news is gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna start hitting hard and heavy for BC starting on Saturday. I mean, maybe even Friday night. You might start seeing some names pop up. We'll have it all covered. We'll also tell you who they're looking at, all that good stuff. So go over to Eagle Insider right now, sign up today, become a VIP. I promise you, you will. It's worth your money. All right, Mitch, let's get to our predictions. Now, BC is the latest odds, and I was just looking at FanDuel, is BC plus 7.5. I still think that's easy money, but let's get into what your picks are. So why don't you go ahead?
I'm going to say 41. I'll be kind. I'll go 41-17. I think Miami will get out to a pretty, pretty big lead early, and then they'll kind of be able to coast off that. Maybe BC can get some late garbage time scores, but I just largely don't really see a way where they can be competitive in this game just because of the athletic and talent difference. And, even though I ragged on Mario Cristobal for not being good, game day in-game situation coach, like this, and obviously the season hasn't gone as well as they hoped at Miami, but the coordinators are really good. I really like both their coordinators and the systems they have. They're still kind of figuring some things out with younger players. So I think Miami wins this game and wins it pretty easily.
Okay. I am equally as negative. Someone in the comments section said yesterday, AJ, you're so optimistic about this game. I appreciate that. I'm like, my point was that this is what BC needs to do to win. I didn't say they were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they will. I said Thomas Castellanos has to limit mistakes. I look at the Miami secondary, and I'm very worried that he will. They're an opportunistic group. I think BC's offensive line's played well, but I think playing against that defensive line, they're going to struggle, especially if Castellanos leaves them in areas where they're going to get hit. And I look at the run game, and I think that's going to be a problem too. So I look at the offensive side, and I say this is going to be a major issue for BC. And then the defensive side, I mean, we saw it the last week. I mean, Pitt's offense was not good, and they were able to rip off explosives. Now you have Miami with some of those playmakers, with Xavier Restrepo, and they've got 3 or 4 guys with 40.
Colby Young, Jacoby George, running backs, Mark Fletcher, who's a true freshman who's kind of taken over the starting role at running back. He's a big dude with some really good speed. And on defense, you mentioned the secondary, the safety pair might be the best safety pairing in the entire FBS with Cameron Kinchins and James Williams. So yeah, they've just got too much talent on pretty much every level of the team.
Yeah, so I look at that, and especially on the defensive side, I'm looking at explosive plays. Something BC has been bit by a lot, and this was against teams not built like Miami. So when you have guys like your safeties diving at guys' feet, and you have bad angles and blown coverages, they're going to get exposed bad. So I look at this and say, I'm going to pick. I don't see this offense figuring anything out. I'm going to go Miami winning like 45-10.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think it's going to be ugly. Now, my question for you, we talked about a little bit about this last post game. Does this change if BC gets rocket shipped? Does that change what BC is going to do with Jeff Hafley?
Probably not.
You think he's safe no matter what now at this point?
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm not willing to stake really anything on it, but just given what we have come to know about this administration, I think it would have to be a blowout of like truly historic proportions, and BC would have to be embarrassing in terms of like committing multiple targeting penalties like Curry Johnson committed last week, and unsports, like it had to be really, really bad, I think, for this game to really move the needle for the administration to make a change.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel the same way. Like I'm starting to feel like it's a done deal, but like that he's going to be back, and I don't know. I look at the schedule next year and say this isn't going to get any easier for BC.
Mm-hmm.
Is Luther Hurd going to be back next year for Missouri?
Luther Burden?
I mean, what's his wide receiver? The wide receiver on Missouri?
Yeah, Luther Burden. Yeah,
Burden, sorry.
I think he's only a sophomore, so yeah, he's definitely going to be back.
Whew.
I'll look it up really quick. Class of 2022. Yes, he's only a sophomore.
So I see a lot of struggles next year, and
Mhm.
that I think people will talk more about it on Friday if the game goes like the way that we think it's going to break. We'll talk more about it looking ahead. But Mitch, in a moment, we're going to give our picks of the week, look at some of the FanDuel spreads, and talk about what our thoughts are. But before we do that, I want to get into LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. You got a job open, you are looking for somebody to be a manager at your company. You have specifics that you're looking for. All you need to do, get that job ready. Add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. And with simple tools like screening questions, it's going to make it easy to find that candidates for your job, right, with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Locked on BC, AJ Black, and we are wrapping things up here with our final season, regular season picks of the week. Mitch, how badly did I do again last week?
We were both 2-2 actually, so not sure it's gonna be enough to save you as you currently sit at 13, 28, and 3. I'm at a cool 22 and 22, so right on the even mark, which is I'm pretty happy about, honestly.
All right, so picks of the week. I'll let you go first. What's your first pick?
All right, I'll stick in the ACC for the final week. I'm going to go Wake Forest, Syracuse under 44.5. I don't think either of these teams move the ball particularly well. I mean, granted, neither of their defenses are much to be afraid of either, but Syracuse deployed a wildcat offense against Pitt a few weeks ago. I think they did. Oh, they did get. Oh no, that was a while ago that they. Never mind. So I think they're going to go back to that. I think the rumor is that Garrett Schrader's arm, he just can't throw. So like anything downfield. So they're going to be running the ball a lot. And Wake Forest, that offense really just isn't the same without Sam Hartman. So I just don't think either of these teams are going to score a ton. So Wake Forest, Syracuse under 44.5.
All right, I'll stay in the ACC too, and I'm gonna go with Clemson and South Carolina. With Clemson as a 7-point favorite, I'm gonna take South Carolina in this game. The Gamecocks have won 3 in a row. They're playing with a little bit of fire right now under Shane Beamer, and this is obviously I think I heard the fans say they don't like it being called Palmetto Bowl, but it's a matchup between two schools that have a pretty fierce rivalry. I feel like Clemson is starting to get things together. This could be a game where they blow the doors open, but they're playing in the Gamecock Stadium, and I'm gonna say that even if Clemson wins, it's gonna be closer than 7 points.
Yeah, I think that's a fair pick. I don't know. I think it's Williams-Brice Stadium. I want to
Yeah,
say
that's right.
is South Carolina. So that's a tough place to play. And the interesting part is that allegedly South Carolina won't have Clemson signals as they had last year, courtesy of Connor Stallions. So we'll see if they can make another decent game this year. Speaking of that, my next pick is going to be Ohio State plus 3.5. I don't think Michigan has been honestly. I haven't been particularly impressed with Michigan most of this year. They have blown out a bunch of really bad teams. And as season has progressed, I think JJ McCarthy might be a little banged up. There's allegedly some injuries on the offensive line for Michigan. Ohio State's defense is playing really well. And, while Kyle McCord is no, CJ Stroud or Justin Fields or whoever, they're figuring things out around him. Ryan Day's still a very good offensive mind in terms of play calling and play design. So I think Ohio State's going to win this game straight up. So getting them at plus 3.5, I think is a pretty good deal, even though this game is in Ann Arbor. And obviously Michigan is going to be playing to vindicate themselves as America's team. But I just don't really like the makeup of their team that much at this point in the season. And I think they're going to lose this game. So Ohio State plus 3.5.
I'm looking at some of the it's rivalry weekend for basically everyone but BC. And I'm looking at the Pac-12 and there's a lot of bloated spreads and some of them I get, but I'm looking at right now Oregon minus 13.5 against Oregon State. I know Oregon's a very good program, but Oregon State has been playing very, very well this year. And while again, I go back to I wouldn't pick the money line on this. I still think DJ Uyagale could do enough to keep this close. And again, rivalry games, they always end up being funky. So I think this could be a closer game than a lot of folks expect. So I'm going to take Oregon State plus 13.5.
This was also originally on my board of picks. I definitely agree with, it is rivalry week, and Oregon State really dominated Oregon last year by running the ball, and they had an even worse quarterback situation. I think Oregon's going to remember that. And Oregon has been in, I believe people call it like murder, kill, death mode, where they're just completely destroying every team they come up against. And I'm sure they're going to remember last year, but I definitely agree with you about rivalry week. And that's what makes picking some of these games so hard, is that, you can see, and I guess you could make this argument about BC Miami, but I just don't think it holds water. That, even there are certain teams that are so much more talented than their opponent, but because it's rivalry week, that kind of changes the way they approach the game. And, sometimes you can even look at like Alabama, Auburn this week, is, Auburn is probably looking ahead to Alabama last week and they end up losing to New Mexico State, which was very funny. But anyways, so my last pick, and if you've listened to the show the whole year, you got to know what's coming now. And it's exactly what you think it is. It's Iowa, Nebraska under 26.5. And I believe that's probably gonna be like the lowest college football total in history, especially if it holds there. Don't care. Iowa's not there. It's not happening. I think Iowa's probably going to try to, as long as they can, they're going to make it a point this game to not score above 20. And Nebraska's offense has kind of fallen apart in recent weeks thanks to quarterback injuries. Iowa still has a great defense, even though they're missing Cooper DeJean. So Iowa, Nebraska under 26.5. I think you could probably take this under, maybe even down to like 24. It's going to be an absolute rock fight.
And I am going to go with my last pick. I'm going to go to the SEC and another big rivalry game. I'm going with the Egg Bowl. And it's Ole Miss minus 10. I'm going to take Ole Miss in the points here. Mississippi State obviously just fired their head coach. I don't find them to be all that good. And I think that Ole Miss is a very superior team, averaging almost 500 yards per game, throwing for 300 yards per game. And Mississippi State doesn't have the defense, I don't think, to slow them down. And while this is, again, a big rivalry game and I hate big spreads, I think the talent level difference here is very clear. And I don't think that the Bulldogs can hold on enough to cover that.
I definitely agree with you, but this is one where I would be scared because, I obviously, like, this is a big game, like you said, but really, Ole Miss doesn't really have much to play for besides, staying in the New Year's Six, whereas this is Mississippi State's entire season. They're going to be looking for a new head coach this offseason. Their interim is pretty good, from what I understand. I think he won when, who was it? When not Dan Mullen. Joe Moorhead got fired after that infamous Egg Bowl. So he's, has some experience in this role. But I mean, I definitely agree that Ole Miss is going to win, but I would be a little scared of that line. But again, as we've said most of the season, fade AJ.
Yeah, fade everything I say. Don't listen to what I say because you're gonna. I'm good for an immediate loss. So
I mean, based on your track record, one of these picks, because you got it at an even number at +7 or -10, one of those is going to be a push. So if you can bet on a push, I'd bet on both of those. That's probably some pretty good odds.
All right, so this wraps things up for today's episode. Mitch, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mitchell T. Wolfe, WOLFE on Twitter. My family's coming to town for this game, so we'll be watching it as they know I have to cover it, and I'll probably be tweeting throughout. And honestly, hopefully it's over and done with soon, so I can get back to eating leftover food.
Yes, and I will be watching as well. I'm going to be away at a family event, but I don't think there will be a lot. I'm guessing. What would you think the over/under on the attendance is going to be? I'm guessing something like 25,000.
I'd say under. I'd probably between 20 and 25 though.
We'll never get the real number though, because they're just going to announce sold tickets. So
yeah.
But anyways, that kind of wraps our episodes up. On Wednesday, Colorado State basketball is going to play BC, the two undefeated teams, in a really fun tournament in Kansas City. Winner will probably play Creighton, one of the top 10 teams in the country. Hockey I think they have games this weekend. I didn't really look it up. But transfer portal, as I said, is going to open up soon. So as I said, make sure you sign up for Eagle Insider, become a subscriber, 75% off today. Thank you all for listening. Follow me on Twitter at AJ Black 247, and you can follow Mitch. We'll be back again soon for another episode of Locked On BC, your team every day.